In this video, pay attention to the 8 different types of epithelial tissue. There are 4 simple and 4 stratified. For each type, you should know the function and location, but I will narrow down this information for you. So let's start with simple squamous epithelia, a single layer of flattened cells. We see this best in our lungs, in our air sacs. These tiny microscopic air sacs are called alveoli, and that's where gas exchange takes place. Oxygen diffuses into the blood, while carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the air sacs. There's our function, diffusion, and here's our location, the air sacs or alveoli of the lungs. Simple cuboidal is a single row of box-like cells, and we see that making up these tiny tubes in our kidneys. We call these kidney tubules. There's the location. In our kidneys, we produce urine, so we need to have a lot of secretion and absorption in and out of these tubules in order to filter the blood and produce the urine. So there's your function, secretion and absorption. Simple columnar epithelium. This here is a single row of long, narrow cells. The location would be in some digestive organs like the stomach or the intestines. We can see the surface of the cells has microvilli that's needed for absorption. And that's the function, absorption, along with secretion of mucus, because every so often we see these mucus or goblet cells in between these simple columnar cells that secrete mucus onto the surface. The function would also be absorption, because in the intestines we need to absorb nutrients from your digestive tract into your system. Pseudostratified columnar epithelium. The reason it's called this is because it appears to be multiple layers. Look at the layers of nuclei, when in reality there's only one layer, because all of these cells touch the basement membrane. Some cells are shorter than others, which make it appear stratified. Pseudo means false. Pseudostratified, therefore, means falsely stratified, because this epithelia appears stratified, but it's really not. The giveaway that it's pseudostratified is this cilia, which you can see very clearly on the surface of the plasma membrane. The location of pseudostratified would be the trachea, or in your upper respiratory tract, because we need to trap particles in the mucus on the lining of the trachea, which is the windpipe, and sweep that material back up to the nasal cavity to protect our lungs. So function, secretion of mucus, like we mentioned, would be a good function. Propulsion of the mucus by the cilia would be another function. As a side note, sometimes we see simple squamous epithelia in a couple other locations, like the inner lining of your blood vessels and lymphatic vessels. We call that endothelium. Capillaries and lymphatic vessels, inner linings. And lining the serous membranes in your ventral body cavity, we have something called the mesothelium. So these are just 2 other locations where we find simple squamous. On the first slide, we saw that it was located in the alveoli of the lungs. Just note here that when it's found in these 2 locations, lining blood vessels or lining serous membranes, they're just given a different name. Instead of simple squamous, we call them endothelium or mesothelium. Now we're moving on to stratified epithelia. Here are the 4 types, and we're going to go through each of the 4 with pictures on the upcoming slides. Stratified squamous has multiple layers of flattened cells, but remember, when it's stratified, we classify the cell shape at the apical surface. You can see our flattened cells. Look at the nucleus, how flat they are, versus the cuboidal looking nuclei at the basal surface. We use the apical surface to define the epithelia. So we find Stratified squamous, where we need a lot of protection as a lining. So protection would be the function. Your superficial layer of skin, called the epidermis, is a good location for stratified squamous, and also the tongue and throat. These are areas that take a lot of friction and therefore need protection. Here are two rare types of stratified epithelia. Stratified cuboidal you'll find in a ring shape, just like simple cuboidal, but instead of one layer of cells, we have more than one layer of cells. We find these in some ducts. It says they're rare, where sweat glands would be a good location. Functions, since it's stratified, protection, but also some secretion as well, because these are sweat glands. Stratified columnar epithelia we see over here in these pictures. They are rare as well. Function would be protection, and location, salivary glands would be a good one to remember. Finally, we have our last epithelia, what doesn't fit the mold of other types. It's called transitional epithelium. We find them in our ureters and our urinary bladder. Ureters are the tubes that connect kidneys to the bladder. These are storage facilities for urine that have to be able to stretch and then recoil back. Because these cells can withstand a lot of pressure, they can flatten and they can bulge out again. Because their shape changes with what's going on at that time, it's called transitional epithelium. Sometimes they appear more bulbous, sometimes these cells appear more flattened. So we mentioned our location, and just to reiterate the function, stretches readily and permits distension of urinary organs by contained urine.